Welcome to ABC News. I'm Fauzia Ibrahim. The Prime Minister has dumped plans to legislate an emissions reduction target as part of the government's energy policy. The move comes as he faces a possible backbench revolt. Pressure is mounting on Malcolm Turnbull's leadership, with his political opponents urging Home Affairs Minister Peter Dutton to challenge him for the Prime Ministership. From Canberra, political reporter Matthew Doran has a wrap of the latest political developments.
G'day.
It seems as though we've seen this movie before.
So have you lost confidence in Malcolm Turnbull?
It's not about personalities. It's not about him. It's not about me.
But others don't find that a convincing performance.
I think it's quite obvious that Tony Abbott doesn't support the current leader. I don't think the public would be surprised about that.
The alternative is someone the former leader views as created in his own image, the Home Affairs Minister, Peter Dutton.
I believe that the Cabinet is 100% behind Malcolm Turnbull, including Peter Dutton.
But after months of fighting with his backbench, including Mr Abbott, it appears the momentum could be turning against the Prime Minister, announcing this morning a retreat from his signature energy policy, while his own members threaten to vote against it.
And in the House of Representatives with a one-seat majority, even with overwhelming support, very strong support in the party room, if a relatively small number of people are not prepared to vote with the government on a measure, then it won't get passed.
The Prime Minister's ditching plans to legislate carbon emission reduction targets. Instead, he's threatening greater scrutiny of the big energy companies and putting in place a default price for electricity so that consumers can check whether they're being ripped off. He's hoping it will be enough to stop one of his lieutenants taking the reins of the party.
Peter Dutton was at our leadership group meeting this morning, and he was the Cabinet last night. He is a member of our team. He has given me his absolute support.
What we've got to get is a contest. The only way we can win the next election is to have a contest over policy, not over personalities.
As the Liberals turn on each other, the opposition can sit back and watch, knowing full well from their own experience just how this saga might play out.
Any advice from Malcolm Turnbull this morning?
Some Liberal MPs believe Malcolm Turnbull's announcement is enough of a circuit breaker to ward off future leadership speculation. But others argue he's left his run too late. Regardless, those advocating change will be in Peter Dutton's ear, urging him to show his hand and to show it soon. Matthew Doran, ABC News, Canberra.
Well, political editor Andrew Probyn joins us now from Parliament House. Now, we heard there Prime Minister Turnbull saying that he's confident of his cabinet, support from his cabinet and Parliament, but it's become a real tussle for power, in not so many words. Has there been any reaction from Minister Dutton?
Well, none as yet. Of course, he has to front up at question time today. But this is a very dangerous period for the Prime Minister. We had a rather untidy press conference with him and Scott Morrison and Josh Frydenberg, where he's trying to tidy up this national energy guarantee issue. We've had the third iteration in less than a week of their position when it comes to how to handle the emissions targets that were set by Tony Abbott as Prime Minister for the Paris climate talks. Last week, the Prime Minister was adamant it should be done by legislation. When it became clear that a small band of dissidents didn't like that, he relented and said, or made it be known, that he would allow it by regulation, only to annoy those on his side of the original argument. So now it's a bit unclear as to how they target or make sure that Australia does hit this 26%. Ironically, it's going to do it anyway, but how they handles it within legislation or regulation. Now, the Prime Minister said today that it was quite clear that they didn't have the numbers in the House of Representatives. Now, that is a statement, a rather bold statement, given that they haven't even attempted a vote on the House of Reps. What he doesn't want is for the vote on that 26% target to become a de facto vote on his leadership. And even if Labor were to come forward and say, well, we'll support it in the House of Reps, Prime Minister, he might not even want that gift, because it's not a gift at all if Liberals and others in the coalition walk from the government's position. So this is very difficult. The numbers are in flux. These sorts of issues do end up getting their own momentum. I'm being assured by people even in Queensland that Malcolm Turnbull still has the numbers, but there's no doubt there is pressure on Queensland LNP MPs and senators to walk from Malcolm Turnbull. Pressure, I've confirmed, is coming from the LNP president himself, Gary Spence. So these are very tricky issues to deal with. Malcolm Turnbull is determined to push through, but you could see today in his press conference it has rattled him, as it has rattled the entire government, because these sorts of issues become intensely debilitating, not just on the life of government, but on the life of prime ministers.
Andrew Probran there in Canberra, thank you.